Each day holds the potential for a new beginning, a chance to free your thoughts from the grip of uncertainty and pessimism. In the quiet of morning, before the world's endless noise starts, you possess the ability to shape your inner world. Doubts may sneak in like unwanted shadows, but they don't define you. They are obstacles awaiting conquest. With every mindful breath and intentional choice, you can turn self-doubt into fuel for resilience and clarity. In these peaceful moments, your mind becomes fertile soil where new, empowering ideas take root. The struggle against negative thoughts isn't a solitary battle. It's a daily commitment to foster a mindset of strength, purpose, and steadfast determination. Each shift in perspective builds the foundation for a life of abundant potential, where every setback is met with renewed resolve, and each day offers an opportunity to spark lasting change. The first step is to become fully aware of the thoughts shaping your mind and learn to challenge them as they arise. It begins with keen self-observation, a quiet, honest look at your inner dialogue throughout the day. Negative thoughts, like unwanted guests, often enter your mind unnoticed, disguising themselves as logical conclusions or accepted truths. Recognize that these thoughts are not immutable facts, but temporary narratives you have the power to question. As you pause and reflect, you discover that every negative belief is an opportunity waiting to be transformed. Imagine your mind as a garden. If you allow weeds of negativity to flourish unchecked, they will crowd out the vibrant flowers of possibility and hope. Instead, commit to tending your garden daily. Notice when your thoughts turn dark and, without judgment, observe them as if you were an impartial bystander. This practice of mindful awareness is the cornerstone of transforming negativity into a catalyst for growth. When you start your day, set aside a few moments for quiet reflection. In that stillness, allow your thoughts to come and go without clinging to them. Observe how a single negative thought can spiral into a cascade of self-doubt or fear if left unchallenged. Begin to question these thoughts, ask yourself if they are truly valid or what evidence supports them. As you practice this form of self-inquiry, you start to see that many negative thoughts are based on assumptions or past experiences that no longer serve you. In this way, you transform your inner critic into a wise advisor who offers constructive feedback rather than destructive commentary. The act of challenging your negative thoughts requires both courage and discipline, as it is far easier to accept the familiar narrative than to disrupt it. But every time you choose to question a limiting belief, you reclaim a bit more control over your inner dialogue and, by extension, your life. There's a powerful lesson in understanding that your mind is not a prison, but a canvas waiting to be painted with positive, intentional thoughts. With each negative thought you counter with a constructive alternative, you add a new stroke of color to your picture of life. It is not about suppressing every unwelcome thought, but rather about replacing the heavy, dark hues with lighter, empowering shades. Over time, this deliberate practice begins to reshape the very landscape of your mind. As you cultivate this habit, you notice subtle shifts in your behavior and attitudes. You find that challenges that once seemed insurmountable now appear as opportunities to learn, and moments of self-doubt give way to a quiet confidence. Every instance in which you pause to critically evaluate your thoughts reinforces your ability to choose a better path, a path defined by resilience and determination rather than by the weight of negativity. So make it a daily ritual to capture your thoughts, perhaps with a simple notebook or a quiet moment of reflection at the end of your day. Write down the negative thoughts as they arise, and then, after a pause, jot down a counter-statement that reflects a more balanced perspective. For example, if you find yourself thinking, "I'm not capable of handling this challenge," follow it with, "Since I have overcome difficulties before, and I am growing stronger with each experience." Over time, these written reflections become a record of your progress and a reminder that you are capable of steering your thoughts in a positive direction. This exercise not only clarifies the origins of your negativity, but also empowers you to reshape your mindset. Every moment you choose awareness over automatic negativity is a step toward a more confident, purposeful life. The second way is to harness the transformative power of positive self-affirmations to reframe the inner dialogue that so often sows seeds of doubt. Your inner voice, constant, persistent, and ever-present, carries the weight of every emotion and every belief. When that voice turns negative, it may become a powerful barrier, eroding your confidence and restricting your potential. See that inner voice as a trustworthy friend whose comments, if selected wisely, may move you forward, or if left unchecked, can hold you back. Positive self-affirmations serve as the corrective tool, replacing toxic narratives with empowering, constructive ones. By actively choosing to affirm your worth and skills, you begin to rewrite the script of your life. Consider starting each day with a quiet ritual of self-affirmation. In the stillness of your morning, before the clamor of daily responsibilities takes over, recite a few carefully crafted statements that reflect your highest ideals. For example, instead of succumbing to the thought, "and I'm not ready for this challenge," you might declare, "Sin, I have the strength and wisdom to meet every challenge with resolve." Such affirmations, when repeated consistently, do more than just mask negative thoughts. They gradually alter the very wiring of your mind. With time, those once dominant, destructive messages give way to a resilient, positive outlook. There is a profound power in the act of verbalizing your intentions. When you speak words of encouragement to yourself, you are, in effect, planting seeds of confidence that blossom into action throughout the day. Positive affirmations are not merely empty platitudes. They are declarations that align with the truth of your potential. Each time you affirm your worth, you challenge the automatic habit of self-criticism that often arises in moments of vulnerability. It is a conscious choice, a disciplined act to say, "I am capable, I am deserving, and I am equipped to overcome obstacles." In doing so, you transform your mental landscape from one of scarcity to one of abundance and possibility. This practice of positive self-affirmation is a deliberate exercise in cognitive restructuring. Negative thoughts tend to form patterns, echoing old fears and reinforcing limiting beliefs. By countering each negative thought with a well-chosen affirmation, you disrupt that pattern and create a new neural pathway, a pathway toward optimism and proactive action. Picture your mind as a vast field. When you continuously sow seeds of positivity, you cultivate a rich, nourishing ground that fosters growth and resilience. Over time, the habit of self-affirmation becomes an automatic response, a natural counterbalance to the inevitable moments of self-doubt that arise. This habit can be integrated into your daily routine through deliberate, mindful repetition. Carry a tiny notepad or index cards with your affirmations printed on them. They act as concrete reminders of the truth you desire to embody. On days when the weight of negative ideas feels particularly heavy, take a few moments to review these affirmations, allowing their meaning to permeate your consciousness. Over weeks and months, the consistent practice of affirming your positive qualities not only weakens the grip of negativity, but also builds an inner reservoir of strength and confidence that carries you through challenges. Furthermore, as you engage in this practice, notice the subtle shifts in your behavior. The challenges that once seemed insurmountable begin to appear as opportunities to exercise your inner strength. When you replace a thought like, "and I can't handle this," with "and I have handled challenges before and I will do so again," you are effectively training your mind to see obstacles as temporary hurdles rather than permanent roadblocks. This shift in attitude opens the door to higher self-efficacy, where every positive affirmation strengthens the feeling that you are in charge of your destiny. Positive self-affirmations also have the capacity to affect your connections with others. When your inner conversation is immersed in positivity, it radiates forth, strengthening your relationships and communication. People are drawn to confidence and warmth, and by consistently affirming your worth, you not only uplift yourself but create an environment where others feel valued as well. In this way, affirmations become the catalyst for a cycle of encouragement where your inner strength inspires those around you to seek out their own potential. Ultimately, the habit of cultivating positive self-affirmations is about reclaiming the narrative of your life. It is about consciously choosing to focus on what is possible rather than what is limiting. Every time you engage in this practice, you are affirming your belief in the power of transformation, that your thoughts can change your reality, and that every moment is an opportunity to become a better version of yourself. Embrace the discipline of positive self-talk, and over time, you will find that the inner voice that once echoed with doubt is replaced by a resounding chorus of possibility and strength. The third option is to build mindfulness and self-awareness as a strong tool to intercept and modify harmful thinking patterns. Negative thoughts often arise like fleeting shadows in the mind, subtle, persistent, and capable of dimming the brightness of your inner light. Mindfulness is the practice of becoming fully present, of noticing these thoughts as they surface without allowing them to dictate your mood or behavior. It is the art of stepping back and observing your inner dialogue as if you were an impartial spectator, acknowledging each thought without judgment or resistance. In moments of quiet reflection, you learn that your mind is a dynamic field of ideas and emotions, where not every thought deserves your attention. Instead, you begin to recognize that many of these negative thoughts are like passing clouds, transitory and insubstantial, while your core self remains constant and full of potential. The practice of mindfulness empowers you to catch the moment when a negative thought starts its descent. With each awareness, you gain the ability to pause, breathe, and recenter, instead of allowing self-doubt or pessimism to spiral. You can choose to acknowledge the thought, understand its origin, and let it drift away without clinging to it. This subtle yet profound shift in awareness is like installing an inner alarm that signals when negativity begins to encroach, allowing you to gently redirect your focus toward thoughts that uplift and empower you. It is a disciplined practice that requires patience and persistence, but over time, mindfulness becomes second nature, a quiet strength that underlies every decision and action you take. In your daily routine, set aside moments dedicated solely to this practice, whether through seated meditation, mindful breathing exercises, or simply pausing during a busy day to notice your thoughts. Each instance is an investment in your mental clarity and emotional resilience. Imagine sitting in silence, the world momentarily hushed around you, as you observe the parade of thoughts that pass through your mind, each one acknowledged, but none given power over your state of being. In this state of reflective awareness, you begin to see patterns emerging, certain triggers that consistently spark negativity, recurring worries that have long lost their relevance, and habitual self-criticism that no longer serves your growth. With each observation, you learn to differentiate between thoughts that are beneficial and those that are destructive. Over time, the practice of mindfulness transforms your relationship with your inner world. Negative thoughts no longer have the final word. Instead of spiraling into despair or anxiety, you develop a calm, measured approach to them, a gentle reminder that you have the power to choose which thoughts to nurture. This newfound control over your mental landscape cultivates an inner sanctuary of peace and strength where you can focus on what truly matters. Picture your mind as a garden. Mindfulness is the gardener who carefully tends to each plant, uprooting the weeds of negativity and nurturing the blossoms of positive, empowering thoughts. In doing so, you create a mental environment that is not only resilient in the face of challenges, but also rich with potential for growth and renewal. By integrating mindfulness into your daily life, you build a reservoir of inner calm that bolsters your ability to handle stress and uncertainty. When negative thoughts arise, instead of reacting impulsively or sinking into self-doubt, you have the space to choose a more constructive response, a response that aligns with your values and propels you forward. This habit of awareness gradually erodes the power of negativity, replacing it with a quiet confidence that is built on deliberate, consistent practice. As you train your mind to remain centered in the present moment, you discover that the burdens of the past and the anxieties of the future lose their grip, and the clarity of now becomes your greatest asset. Each day, as you encounter challenges and the inevitable ebb and flow of emotions, awareness acts as your faithful friend, reminding you that you're not defined by ephemeral ideas, but by the enduring quality of your character and the strength of your will. Embracing mindfulness is not about achieving perfection or silencing all negative thoughts. It is about recognizing their presence, understanding their influence, and choosing to redirect your focus toward what is uplifting and true. With this practice, you create a mental framework that not only helps you overcome negativity, but also enhances every aspect of your personal and professional life, leading to a more vibrant, purposeful existence. The fourth option is to harness the power of affirmations to reprogram your inner dialogue and gradually dissolve the hold that negativity has on your mind. Negative self-talk frequently seeps into your thoughts like an old habit, silent, persistent, and undermining your sense of worth. Affirmations, when said with passion and repeated over time, become more than simply words. They become the actual building blocks of a new mentality. Picture your mind as a vast, fertile garden where every thought is a seed. Negative seeds, if left unchecked, overrun the space and choke out the potential for growth. When you deliberately replace these with positive, empowering statements, you start to cultivate a landscape where optimism and resilience can flourish. Imagine waking each day and stating, "I am capable, I am worthy, I am resilient." These simple declarations act as a call to your inner self, inviting you to see beyond your doubts and fears. With every repetition, you reinforce a belief system that supports growth and progress. It is as though you are writing a new script for your life, one that emphasizes strength over weakness, hope over despair. Over time, the sound of your own voice stating these truths softens the force of old, damaging narratives and begins to replace them with a steady current of good energy. Affirmations are most effective when practiced with consistency and intention. In the quiet moments of your day, perhaps in the solitude of the early morning or the reflective calm of the evening, you have the perfect opportunity to speak these truths into existence. As you close your eyes and take a deep, deliberate breath, allow the words to echo within you. Feel each syllable as a promise to yourself. a declaration that you will no longer be defined by doubt or negativity. There is a power in these moments of self-affirmation. Each repetition builds an inner reserve of strength that you can draw upon when challenges arise. Over time, the practice of acknowledging your value begins to manifest in practical improvements. You start to realize that your thinking is less likely to default to pessimism and more inclined to perceive chances, even in the middle of setbacks. Negative thoughts that once seemed overwhelming gradually lose their grip, replaced by a more balanced perspective that acknowledges challenges without letting them dominate your inner narrative. As you continue to speak these affirmations, you develop a more resilient attitude, a quiet, persistent resolve that reminds you each day that your potential is not defined by past mistakes or fleeting doubts. This practice is not about avoiding reality or pretending that troubles do not exist. Rather, it is about facing those sufferings with the knowledge that you have the inner strength to overcome them. Affirmations work by retraining your mind to perceive your real capabilities. They generate a positive feedback loop. The more you tell yourself that you are competent, the more capable you begin to feel, and the more you act in ways that mirror that belief. Over days, weeks, and months, this cumulative impact turns your mental landscape into one that is fertile for development and success. Explore the value of coupling affirmations with purposeful vision. When you say your affirmations, imagine the results you seek. Picture yourself confidently overcoming challenges, achieving your goals, and inspiring people around you with your newfound optimism. This dual process of verbal affirmation and mental imagery reinforces the message on multiple levels, making it a more potent tool against the tide of negativity. Surrounding yourself with each repetition, you build a reservoir of positive energy that not only neutralizes negative thoughts, but also empowers you to act with purpose and confidence over the long haul. Embracing affirmations as a daily habit reshapes your self-image. It becomes a constant reminder that you are not a prisoner to your doubts, but a creator of your own destiny. The practice fosters a deep-seated belief in your ability to overcome obstacles, making you less reactive to setbacks and more proactive in your pursuit of success. Every time you replace a negative thought with a positive affirmation, you are taking a definitive stand against the inertia of self-doubt and stepping into a space where growth is inevitable. This method of using affirmations is not about magical thinking. It is about cultivating a disciplined mental habit that, over time, redefines your internal narrative. It requires persistence, consistency, and a genuine commitment to changing the way you speak to yourself. The transformation is gradual but profound, as each small victory in reprogramming your mind contributes to a larger shift in your overall outlook. In this way, the habit of using positive affirmations becomes an indispensable part of your journey to overcome negative thoughts, empowering you to lead a life defined not by fear and doubt, but by resilience, purpose, and unwavering self-belief. The fifth technique is to create a conscious awareness that allows you to monitor your thoughts without being overwhelmed by them. Negative thoughts often arise so quickly and without warning that they can feel like a storm inside your mind, relentless, disruptive, and all-consuming. By practicing mindfulness, you create the space to notice these thoughts as they appear, rather than automatically accepting them as truth. It is the practice of sitting quietly with your inner dialogue, acknowledging each thought with gentle curiosity, and then letting it pass without attachment. When you learn to view your thoughts as transient visitors, rather than permanent residents, you begin to retake control over your mental landscape. Picture your mind as a clean sky at dawn, with clouds floating by. Each bad idea is like a cloud that forms, moves across the sky, and ultimately goes away. Mindfulness teaches you to notice these clouds without judging them or engaging in a battle against them. Instead, you simply observe their formation and dissolution, understanding that they are not fixed parts of who you are. In this way, you develop a deeper sense of detachment, a realization that you can choose which thoughts to focus on, and that you need not be a slave to every negative notion that arises. To begin this practice, start with simple breathing exercises. Focus your attention on the pattern of your breath. Feel the crisp air as you inhale and the soft warmth as you exhale. Each breath binds you to the present moment, pulling you away from the tumultuous pull of negative thoughts. When a concerned idea surfaces, acknowledge it softly. Notice I'm thinking about it, without classifying it as good or bad. Then gently shift your concentration to the steady cadence of your breathing. This practice, done day after day, creates a muscle of mental clarity that lets you sift through the cacophony of negativity and focus on what actually matters. Envision yourself in a silent room, the only sound being the smooth cadence of your breathing as you study the thoughts that enter your head. Some thoughts may be sharp and sudden, memories of previous failures or anxieties about the future, while others may be subtle and lingering. With mindfulness, you learn to consider each thought as an event that has a beginning and an end, rather than a defining aspect of your identity. This realization empowers you to let go of the negative and to allow positive thoughts to take root in their place. This practice is not about suppressing or fighting negative thoughts, but about understanding them with compassionate detachment. When you face a particularly stubborn negative thought, pause and reflect on its origin. Ask yourself quietly, where does this thought come from, and what evidence supports or refutes this belief? Often, you will discover that these thoughts are not based on objective reality, but are colored by past experiences, limiting beliefs, or unfounded fears. This awareness itself is a powerful tool. It allows you to dispute the validity of negative ideas and to gently release them, knowing that they do not define you. As you continue to practice mindfulness, you gain the capacity to monitor your emotions in tandem with your thoughts. When negative thoughts arise, they often bring with them feelings of anxiety, sadness, or anger. Instead of becoming entangled in these emotions, mindfulness invites you to witness them as separate phenomena. Recognize that these feelings, like your thoughts, are passing states that do not have to dictate your actions. Over time, this difference between cognition and emotion gives a buffer, a mental space where you may pick your reaction rather than reacting impulsively. Mindfulness may be integrated into your everyday practice in subtle yet powerful ways. Begin your day with a few minutes of peaceful thought, setting aside a period when the world is still and your mind is uncluttered. During moments of stress during the day, even a little break to focus on your breath may act as a reset button, wiping away the buildup of negative energy. This disciplined practice is like polishing a mirror. It gradually reveals a clearer, more resilient version of yourself that is better able to navigate the challenges of life. The transformative power of mindfulness lies in its cumulative effect. Each moment of clear, focused awareness reinforces your ability to detach from negativity and to reclaim your inner peace. Over weeks and months, the practice grows stronger, and you begin to notice that negative thoughts lose their intensity and frequency. Instead of being drawn into a cycle of self-doubt or pessimism, you find yourself responding to life's challenges with greater equanimity and purpose. This shift in perspective is not instantaneous. It is a gradual evolution that demands patience, persistence, and self-compassion. Yet the rewards are profound. A mind that remains calm in the face of adversity, a heart that stays open to new opportunities, and a spirit that rises above the cacophony of negativity to embrace a life of clarity and joy. Mindfulness is a practice that, when woven into the fabric of your everyday life, transforms not just how you think, but how you live. It teaches you that each moment is a chance to choose peace over turmoil, to choose clarity over confusion, to choose empowerment over self-doubt. With each mindful breath and every gentle observation of your thoughts, you are strengthening a foundation that supports your journey toward a more positive and fulfilling life. The sixth method to overcome negative thoughts is to transform your inner dialogue into a powerful tool of self-empowerment. Negative thoughts, when left unchecked, tend to weave a persistent narrative of limitation and fear around our experiences, casting shadows over our self-worth and potential. By deliberately choosing to reshape that inner dialogue, you begin to reclaim control over your mind and set a new standard for what you believe you can achieve. When you catch a negative thought as it arises, pause and examine its origin. Acknowledge it without judgment, and then consciously replace it with a statement that reinforces your capability and worth. Imagine each negative thought as a small seed planted in your mental garden. Without careful tending, those seeds can grow into a thicket of self-doubt. However, when you actively cultivate positive affirmations and reinforce empowering beliefs, you effectively uproot those destructive seeds and replace them with nourishing, growth-promoting ones. This purposeful exercise is the essence of reframing your inner dialogue, where each discouraging comment or doubt is answered with a reminder of your innate talents and potential. Consider the impact of affirmations on your daily mindset. When you consciously choose words that affirm your abilities, you are not merely covering up negative thoughts, but actively building a new mental framework, one that is resilient, optimistic, and aligned with your long-term aspirations. For instance, rather than allowing a thought like, "I am not good enough," to dominate your mind, replace it with an "I have the strength and the ability to grow and succeed." This easy switch is not about empty platitudes. It is a commitment to fight the habitual negative patterns that have held you back. Each time you practice this substitution, you create a store of positive energy that increases your power to overcome challenges. This habit involves a firm yet gentle self-discipline. When you initially begin to observe your inner dialogue, you may realize that negative ideas appear regularly and naturally. It is in these moments that the discipline of pausing becomes crucial. Take a deep breath and create a brief space. enough time for your mind to register the negative thought without immediately spiraling into self-criticism. In that pause, allow yourself to reflect, where did this thought come from? Is it rooted in a past experience, a fear of failure, or an unrealistic expectation? Often you will find that these negative notions are not grounded in your current reality, but are echoes of previous doubts and insecurities. As you practice this self-examination, integrate a series of positive affirmations that resonate deeply with your personal values and goals. Select sentences that speak to your inner strength, such as, "And I am capable of overcoming any challenge," or "Each day I get stronger and more confident." Repeat these affirmations both quietly and vocally, enabling the sound of your own voice to cement these beliefs in your subconscious. Over time, the repeating of these positive statements transforms your inner dialogue from a battleground of self-doubt into a wellspring of empowerment. Envision your inner dialogue as a chat with a wise, caring mentor, one who gives support rather than criticism, and who reminds you of prior triumphs when you feel overwhelmed by present issues. This mental exercise not only reorients your viewpoint, but also promotes resilience in instances of setback or failure when negative ideas threaten to impair your judgment. This practice becomes your anchor, reminding you that every difficulty is an opportunity to learn and improve. It is the conscious choice to nurture your mind with affirmations of strength and possibility that gradually diminishes the power of negativity. Cultivating this habit also involves tracking your progress. Create a notebook where you chronicle the instances when negative ideas occur and how you effectively change them with positive affirmations. This record acts as both evidence of your improvement and a motivational tool during tough times. When you look back and realize how frequently you have converted a terrible circumstance into a stepping stone for success, your confidence increases, reinforcing the impression that you are in charge of your inner narrative. In this manner, every second of self-correction adds up, producing a robust mentality that is less vulnerable to the subtle effects of negativity. Road of modifying your inner dialogue is not instantaneous. It involves effort and a gentle yet persistent commitment to self-development. Each time you pause, ponder, and affirm your value, you are taking a purposeful step toward a more happy and productive existence throughout days, weeks, and months. This exercise reshapes your mental landscape, providing an environment where optimism and confidence flourish. In the end, the alteration of your inner dialogue is a strong tribute to the strength of your will, a clear proclamation that you choose to rise above negative beliefs and embrace a life full of promise and possibilities. The seventh way is practicing mindfulness to anchor your awareness in the present moment and release your mind from the prison of negative thoughts. Negative thoughts may frequently arrive like uninvited intruders, creeping in during periods of distraction or stress. When you adopt mindfulness, you learn to see these ideas for what they are: transitory, fleeting phenomena that do not define your essence or control your destiny. This habit asks you to teach your mind to watch without judgment, to pause before responding, and to enable yourself to view each thought as merely a transient occurrence in the continual stream of your consciousness. Envision your mind as a serene, tranquil lake. The negative ideas are like ripples on the surface that disappear as soon as they arrive. By concentrating on the stillness underlying the waves, you recapture a feeling of clarity and purpose. To cultivate mindfulness, begin by setting aside a few peaceful moments each day. In these times, focus only on your breathing. Notice the graceful rise and fall of your chest, the chilly air entering your nose, and the warm exhale carrying away any tension. Allow yourself to become fully immersed in the present, letting go of the past and the future, and recognizing that the only moment that truly exists is now. This simple practice can ground your thoughts and help you discern when negativity is attempting to take hold. When a negative thought emerges, instead of engaging with it or letting it spiral, recognize its presence with a polite mental nod. Then gently redirect your concentration to your breath or to the sensations of the present moment. Mindfulness also permits you to create a mental gap between stimuli and response. In that space, you have the ability to select a different route, a response that is connected with your aims and values, rather than a knee-jerk reaction motivated by fear or uncertainty. This exercise is not about ignoring or suppressing bad ideas. It is about acknowledging them, understanding their cause, and then purposefully changing your focus towards something more constructive. Over time, this habit transforms your relationship with your thoughts, making you less reactive and more deliberate in every decision you make. Consider the role that mindfulness can play during moments of high stress. When challenges mount and the pressure of deadlines or responsibilities begins to weigh on you, mindfulness acts as a refuge. It invites you to slow down, take a deep breath, and view the situation with a fresh perspective. In that pause, you discover that the pressure you feel is often more about your interpretation of the situation than about the situation itself. By acknowledging this, you empower yourself to step back and reassess with calm clarity. With practice, you will begin to notice that even in the midst of chaos, there exists a quiet center within you, a center that is immune to the turbulence of fleeting worries. Integrating mindfulness into your daily routine means setting aside intentional periods to check in with yourself. It might be during a mid-morning break, a quiet moment before lunch, or a brief pause in the afternoon when you feel your energy dip. During these moments, allow your mind to settle and notice the quality of your thoughts without immediately trying to change them. Over time, as you practice this observation, you build a mental habit of awareness that carries over into all areas of your life. You learn to recognize early signs of negative thinking and to intercept them with a mindful breath, a simple yet powerful technique that reinforces your control over your inner narrative. This approach is not about forcing a state of perpetual calm, rather, it is about accepting the full range of your human experience with equanimity. When negative thoughts do arise, acknowledge them as visitors who do not overstay their welcome. Understand that they are often rooted in past experiences or fears of the future, and that by focusing on the present, you deprive these thoughts of the energy they crave. With each mindful pause, you reinforce the understanding that you have the power to choose where your attention goes, and that the present moment is the only time that truly matters. Developing mindfulness is a lengthy process, one that demands patience, practice, and persistence. Begin by dedicating just a few minutes each day to mindfulness meditation, gradually increasing the time as you grow more comfortable with the practice. Over time, the habit of mindful awareness will seep into every facet of your life, shaping the way you handle stress, approach challenges, and engage with the world around you. In this way, mindfulness becomes not just a practice, but a way of life, a constant companion that helps you navigate negativity with wisdom, grace, and the peaceful strength of being totally present. The eighth approach is to shift your inner dialogue by mastering the art of reframing negative thoughts into positive affirmations. Negative self-talk can be a silent, corrosive force, seeping into your mind and dictating the quality of your actions without you even realizing it. When you become aware that every thought carries weight, you begin to see that your inner dialogue is not a fixed narrative, but a story that you have the power to rewrite. Negative thoughts are not immutable truths. They are mere signals, often based on past experiences or unfounded fears, that can be questioned and transformed into opportunities for growth. Imagine your mind as a garden, where every thought is a seed. If you consistently water seeds of doubt and fear, your garden will yield a harvest of negativity. However, by consciously choosing to nurture seeds of hope, possibility, and resilience, you cultivate a mental landscape where confidence flourishes and obstacles are seen as stepping stones. Begin by recognizing that every negative thought is an invitation to halt and ponder. When a thought such as, "It can't accomplish this," surfaces, acknowledge its presence without judgment, then dispute its validity. Ask yourself if this view is based on real facts or only on a temporary sensation of discouragement. In that brief pause, you create a space between stimuli and response, a place where you may pick a more constructive perspective. This procedure is equivalent to standing back and seeing your surroundings from a higher vantage point. When you may understand that the restrictions you perceive are not barriers, but transitory setbacks that can be overcome with effort and persistence. In practical terms, develop a habit of reframing by replacing negative statements with positive alternatives. Instead of saying, "I'm not good enough," affirm, "have the ability to learn and improve every day." When a challenging situation arises, shift your focus from the fear of failure to the lessons it can teach you. This deliberate change in language reprograms your subconscious, gradually replacing the default mode of criticism with a mindset of possibility. As you practice this reframing, notice how your self-esteem grows and your energy begins to reflect a more optimistic outlook on your capabilities. This kind of thinking takes dedication. Each time you intentionally pick a positive reinterpretation, you practice a sort of mental discipline that over time reshapes your habitual patterns. Instead of allowing negative ideas to dominate your inner chat, you learn to regard problems as catalysts for progress, rather than as confirmations of insufficiency. The skill of reframing is not about disregarding reality. It is about strengthening your response to it, recognizing the hardship but also seeing the potential within every circumstance. Develop a daily practice that reinforces this habit. During moments of solitude, perhaps early in the morning or late at night, reflect on recent negative thoughts and consciously write down their positive counterparts. Over time, this record becomes a testament to your progress, a living journal of how you have shifted from self-doubt to self-empowerment. With each entry, you solidify the belief that you are not defined by your fears, but by your capacity to overcome them. As you repeat this process day after day, you will notice a subtle yet profound transformation in your outlook and vision. A moment when you face a daunting task and the familiar voice of negativity whispers discouragement. Instead of surrendering to that voice, you pause, take a deep breath, and reframe the circumstance as an opportunity to display resilience. You remind yourself that every problem is not a verdict on your value, but a chance to prove that you can adapt, learn, and achieve. This adjustment in perspective is powerful. It not only lowers the impact of negative ideas, but also supports a loop of positive self-talk that drives you ahead. With time, you learn to internalize this practice until reframing becomes a habitual response in situations of stress or self-doubt. You instinctively counteract negativity with affirmations of strength and possibility. Then transformation is not instantaneous, it is the cumulative result of consistent, deliberate practice. As you observe the gradual changes in your thought patterns, you realize that the quality of your inner dialogue is the cornerstone of your success. Accepting the power of reframing helps you to change your mind into a resilient, optimistic force that supports your journey toward realizing your ambitions. The ninth technique is to create a profound, present-centered awareness that permits you to examine your thoughts without being overwhelmed by them. Negative ideas have a way of catching your mind like a whirlwind, drawing you into a circle of uncertainty and despair. When you cultivate mindfulness, you learn to step back and watch these thoughts arise and pass as if you were observing clouds drifting across a vast, clear sky. This practice is not about suppressing or fighting your inner critic. It's about acknowledging its presence with calm detachment and then redirecting your focus to what is within your control. In the quiet moments of mindful awareness, you begin to see that your thoughts are transient. They come and go like the ebb and flow of the tide. Instead of identifying with every negative word or image that crosses your mind, you allow yourself the space to recognize them as mere mental events. This shift in perspective is like going outside yourself to examine your inner landscape with clarity and compassion. When you practice, you discover that each bad thought bears no more weight than a passing shadow, and you learn the fortitude to let it float away without clinging to it. Begin your journey into mindfulness by setting aside a few minutes each day to simply sit in stillness, focusing on your breath. Pay attention to the sensation of air entering and leaving your body, allowing that rhythmic motion to anchor you in the present moment. When distractions arise, those habitual negative thoughts, they will appear like ripples on a calm pond. Instead of reacting with frustration or judgment, gently return your focus to your breath. In doing so, you are training your mind to remain centered, even in the midst of internal turmoil, allowing that rhythmic motion to anchor you in the present moment. When distractions arise, those habitual negative thoughts, they will appear like ripples on a calm pond. Instead of reacting with frustration or judgment, softly restore your concentration to your breath. In doing so, you are teaching your mind to remain centered even in the midst of emotional turbulence. This practice of attentive observation is like polishing a knife that can cut through the clutter of your thoughts. Over time, as you routinely commit moments to this practice, you start to notice tiny differences in your mental state. The intensity of negative thoughts diminishes, replaced by a calm clarity that allows you to choose your responses rather than reacting impulsively. You might find that what once seemed overwhelming now passes with ease, leaving behind a quiet resilience that fortifies your inner strength. In the midst of daily challenges, mindfulness becomes your sanctuary, a zone where you may disengage from the cacophony of external expectations and personal issues. By constantly checking in with your inner state, you learn to detect patterns of negativity as they arise. Instead of getting driven into cycles of self-criticism, you study these patterns with a feeling of wonder and detachment. This approach generates a strong feedback loop. The more you practice mindfulness, the more effective you get at catching negative ideas, and the less power they hold over your actions. Envision your mind as a beautiful hall, where each thought is a guest coming through. With mindfulness, you become the kind host who listens without judgment, allows each visitor to speak, and then respectfully sends them away when their time is gone. In this way, you reclaim control over your mental space, transforming it from a chaotic battleground into a serene oasis. The discipline of remaining present not only diminishes the impact of negative thoughts, but also enriches your capacity for joy, creativity, and focused action. To deepen this habit, incorporate mindfulness into everyday activities. Be it while walking through a park, sharing a meal, or engaging in conversation, Each moment is an opportunity to return to the present, to tune into the sensations of life, and to ground yourself in the here and now. When you consistently choose to be present, you discover that the mind's tendency to spiral into negativity can be gently redirected into a state of awareness and intentionality. In this way, mindfulness becomes not just a practice, but a way of living, an essential tool for overcoming negative thoughts and cultivating inner peace. The 10th way is to cultivate the power of positive self-talk, a practice that transforms the way you perceive yourself and your challenges. Every word you whisper in the quiet of your mind acts as a seed capable of sprouting confidence or sowing doubt. Imagine your thoughts as a garden. If you tend only to the weeds of negativity, they will choke out the beauty of possibility. Yet if you nurture the seeds of affirmation, your inner landscape will blossom with strength and resilience. This exercise isn't about ignoring difficulties or pretending that barriers don't exist. It's about reprogramming your internal dialogue to reflect a vision of success and self-worth. When negative ideas arise, pause and intentionally replace them with constructive, empowering words. Identify the existence of a disturbing idea, then say to yourself, "Son, I have the strength to overcome this," or "Every obstacle is an opportunity to learn." The mind, much like the soil in a garden, thrives on careful cultivation. Over time, the patterns of self-talk constitute the cornerstone of your mental resilience. Consistent, deliberate reinforcement of positive beliefs gradually displaces the old negative narratives. When you consistently affirm your abilities, you build an inner dialogue that serves as a constant reminder of your capacity to succeed. Picture each positive thought as a building block, forming a sturdy wall that shields you from the relentless barrage of self-doubt. It's a subtle shift that, when compounded over days and weeks, creates a powerful momentum that propels you toward your goals. Every time you confront a negative thought, see it as an invitation to practice this art of affirmation. When you find yourself thinking, "And I can't do this," counter it with "incapable and resourceful," and allow that affirmation to fill the space once occupied by doubt. Repeating these affirmations isn't an act of mindless repetition. It is a disciplined exercise that educates your mind to focus on your strengths and successes rather than your limitations. Over time, the repeated positive self-talk rewires your neural pathways, turning what was once an automatic stream of negativity into a powerful current of optimism and determination. In moments of quiet reflection, perhaps while sitting in a comfortable chair or during a peaceful walk, let your mind settle into a state of calm awareness. In that stillness, consciously recite affirmations that resonate with your deepest values and aspirations. For example, remind yourself, "And I am in control of my destiny, and every step I take brings me closer to my dreams," or "My potential is limitless, and I grow stronger with each passing day." These affirmations act as a shield, deflecting the corrosive impact of negative thoughts, and gradually they become the default language of your inner voice. Converting your inner conversation into a source of power demands consistency and purposeful work. Start by setting up a few minutes each day, possibly at the start of your daily routine or at a quiet period in the evening, to focus exclusively on self-talk. Jot down your favorite affirmations, say them carefully, and allow yourself to experience the truth in each word. As you create this habit, notice the difference in your viewpoint. Problems become less intimidating, setbacks turn into lessons, and the voice of self-doubt fades into the background of your growing inner confidence. This practice also extends to how you interact with the world around you. The way you speak to yourself sets the tone for your external relationships and the energy you bring to every interaction. When your inner dialogue is positive and affirming, it influences the way you treat others, encouraging you to extend the same compassion and encouragement outward. In this way, positive self-talk becomes a catalyst for building stronger, more supportive connections with the people in your life. Remember that developing a habit of positive self-talk is a journey, one that demands patience, persistence, and self-compassion. There will be moments when the old negative voices creep back in. These are opportunities to practice resilience, to gently steer your thoughts back on course without harsh self-judgment. With each instance, you fortify your mental defenses, transforming the way you perceive obstacles and setbacks. Over time, the accumulation of these small victories in your inner dialogue creates a powerful, enduring shift. A mind that is both a fortress against negativity and a springboard for creativity, joy, and success. Every day you choose to fight negative ideas, you invest in the foundation of a brighter future. Overcoming negativity is not a one-time win. It is a constant journey that alters your inner landscape through disciplined, purposeful decisions. With each deliberate moment of self-reflection, you replace doubt with determination and fear with steadfast resolve, paving the way for a reservoir of untapped potential. Every setback, when met with resilience, reveals hidden opportunities for growth, turning trials into stepping stones toward success. As you integrate these habits into your daily life, your mind becomes both a sanctuary and a forge where challenges are met with strength, and each day reinforces the clarity of your purpose. Embrace the truth that the power to transform your destiny lies within you, for by cultivating a positive inner dialogue and consistently redirecting negative energy, you build a legacy of inner strength that illuminates every path you walk. Maintain this commitment to positivity and self-discipline, and you will continue to shape a future rich in purpose, clarity, and lasting joy.